Today we'll be talking about the disappearance of Brian Shaffer. Brian Shaffer was a medical student at The Ohio State University. He disappeared on April 1st, 2006. So here's the FBI missing poster for Brian. He was 27 at the time when he went missing. He was 6'2", 160 pounds, brown hair, hazel eyes. Has a Pearl Jam tattoo, so nothing too crazy as far as appearance goes, other than the only thing that he has is the tattoo, and he's a little bit taller than the average person, so nothing too crazy there to go far as appearance goes. It was in 2006, so there are two aspects of 2006 I'm going to explain in this video. One is Brian's 2006, and then kind of the world's 2006. So 2006 for Brian, he was a medical student at Ohio State, like I had previously mentioned. He was dating a fellow medical student at The Ohio State University. There were rumors that he was going to propose on a trip during spring break that I'll talk about further in the video. He has a brother named Derek. He has a father named Randy, and his mother had recently passed away from cancer just a couple of weeks ago, so that was still fresh. It is reported that he was dealing with it well. He was handling it well as you can, but obviously that was still affecting him. But again, I can't say too much about that. Again, obviously I wasn't him, I wasn't there, but that would obviously affect anyone. Most people would be significantly impacted by that. So that was Brian in 2006. So as far as 2006 goes, on the world scale, I mainly want to talk about technology. And on the screen, you'll see I have a picture of the Wii. The Wii would come out later that year. It would come out and released during the holiday season. You know, people would get in fights over Wiis during Black Friday. You know, I can't believe that actually happened, but it did. You know, people fought over the chance to play, Wii Sports, whatever. And there's also a picture of an iPhone, which actually hadn't come out yet. We were just on the dawn on the smartphone era. Oh man, what a time. Almost wish we could go back, but we can't. It's too late. We're doomed. That would come out in 2007. So in the top left corner, you'll see the security footage, still of the security footage that we have of Brian. And that's kind of what my main point is. This is what we're going to be dealing with, is kind of really grainy footage from 2006. And there's going to be not a lot of it, and it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad footage, and there's going to be a limited quantity of it. And that's what also makes this case more interesting, I think. I did want to make a small interjection to the video and mention the fact that someone was using this phone in 2021. I used to work at a phone store. Someone came in with this phone and traded it in. All right, now we'll get into the events of Brian's disappearance on March 31st. There's a great website called uncovered.com that really walks you through everything that happened. Well, obviously not everything that happened, because that would be impossible, but does a great job at explaining the events. So March 31st, spring break begins. Classes end at The Ohio State University, and Brian and his dad have dinner at the Outback Steakhouse. And it is noted that Brian's father did say that Brian looked very tired at that dinner, that he looked exhausted, that he said that Brian shouldn't go out with his friends, that he recommended, stay home. They had a trip planned. They were going to Miami. Brian and his girlfriend had a trip planned for spring break. Go home, sleep, get ready for that trip. Don't go out. Obviously, Brian, being a college student, I probably would have gone out as well. So no knock on him for that, but that should be better noted than not that Brian's father did notice that he did look exhausted. So they go out to dinner. That goes fine. 9 p.m. Brian calls his girlfriend, Alexis. That's the fellow the Ohio State University medical student. Everything seems normal during this call. Again, they reconfirm that they're going on vacation the following week. And everything, again, says normal. Everything seems normal. So we move on from that. And then this is when the drinking starts. Brian meets with his friend Clint. We'll talk about Clint later. They meet at the Ugly Tuna Saloona. That's also where the night will end. They do go bar hopping through on High Street in Columbus. That's where most of the bars are for college students in Columbus. I wonder if they hit Bullwinkles. Did they go to Bulls? That's the real question. Did they go to Bulls? Did they go to Bulls? Comment below if you think Brian went to Bulls that night. I shouldn't have said that. Anyways, so they go bar hopping. They start at the Ugly Tuna Saloona, and from there they go bar hopping, and they drink at every bar. So they're getting increasingly intoxicated. And at midnight, so it's now April 1st, they meet with Meredith Reed, a friend of Clint. She gives Brian and Clint a ride back to the Ugly Tuna Saloona, and this is where Brian disappears. So Brian is seen on CCTV going into the Ugly Tuna Saloona, which is just a horrible name for a bar. I don't know why you would call a bar or anything or whatever Ugly Tuna Saloona, Ugly Tuna Saloon Bar. Why would you do that? How could people sit together and agree upon that name? I just don't understand. I just don't get it. And it still exists. But anyways, so the trio are seen riding an escalator up the Ugly Tuna Saloon bar at 1:15 a.m. and they can be seen going into the bar. You actually can't see people going into the bar on this security footage. You can just see them going towards the bar. So most people just obviously assume that they go to the bar. So now it's 1:55 a.m. Brian is seen on CCTV for the last time. So Brian is talking to two unknown women before saying goodbye. After this, Brian seems to move as if he was going back into the bar on an escalator. So that's I do like that they put that. A lot of people assume that Brian went back into the bar. Now, there's obviously no proof whatsoever that Brian goes back into the bar. That is a big point of contention for me. I do not think that Brian went back into the bar. Now, you got to think, there are two entrances to this bar. There's the one that if you go out the front, you're going to get caught on that CCTV that we keep seeing him go in and out. And then there's the emergency exit where a camera would catch you when you open the door. So I don't think that Brian goes in there. There's other places to go. Okay, so let's move on. Clint and Meredith get separated from Brian. The three agree that they are ready to leave, and Brian tells Clint that he is going to go up to the stage area. After this, Brian gets separated from the group. Clint and Meredith are unable to reach him via phone call at this point. So 2 a.m., bar closes. Clint and Meredith leave. They exit the bar with everyone else. They wait for Brian. Brian isn't ever seen leaving on CCTV footage, so that's what I mean by, if you go in that way, you'd be seen leaving that way. So that's why, I don't think he went into the bar. See, there we go. There were only 2 entry-exit points at the bar: the front main entrance and the back service door, which is only used for bar employees. So after waiting, the 2 assumed that Brian walked home. So April 1st, early morning, Clinton and Meredith make several attempts to call Brian, but Brian does not answer, obviously, because this is where we don't know what's going on whatsoever. So if you've been wondering why I haven't really been showing any security footage, this is why. It just doesn't really do anything. I don't get anything from it. I'm not a trained law enforcement professional, so if they didn't get anything from it, I don't think I'm going to either. And also, it is 2006 quality. So, anyways, that is where Brian is, heading back towards the bar, but whether he goes back into the bar or not, we don't know. So the night's over. Clint and Meredith wake up. They realize that they never got back in contact with Brian. So they call Brian, and they can't get him to answer the phone. So they start to get worried, and then his girlfriend, Alexis, comes back. She was out of town. She comes back. She's now back in Columbus, and she arrives at Brian's apartment and finds that it is exactly the way he left it. It hasn't been touched. Everything is in order. It's like no one's been there. So now some red flags are being raised. No one can get in touch with Brian, whereas Brian, there is now some serious concern, and it would be on April 3rd that Brian would be officially reported missing to police, and that it would be an official investigation would be started. All right, so we're back on the timeline. Brian is reported missing April 3rd, 2006. $7,000 reward offered, with an additional $5,000 reward being offered by Ohio State University's College of Medicine and Public Health. Ohio State University alumni look out for each other, apparently. Vigils held for Brian. I know there's a break-in in Brian's apartment. I'm looking for it here. April 18th, 2006, an unknown person breaks into Brian's apartment. Alexis is called by police to visit the apartment. Nothing is missing from the apartment other than some DVDs. Police determined that there is no connection between the robbery and Brian's disappearance. Then search continues. There's a vigil, and then this is a pretty big event. On September 11, 2006, Alexis, his girlfriend, she would call his phone every night. And then this one night, she calls the phone and it rings. And it pings in September 2006 for Hilliard, Ohio. And they say it was a glitch. But, who knows? I don't know. I have no idea. Actually, I do know they recycle the numbers pretty frequently, so I'm surprised someone didn't get that. I don't know how they did it back then, but today, if you give up your number, someone will get it probably really soon. So that's how it works now. I don't know how it worked back then. But then on September 14th, Randy Shaffer, that's Brian's father, he died during a snowstorm. A tree fell and killed him. Unfortunately, while he was trying to clean up like some of the debris, and now that leaves Derek, Brian's brother, with no immediate family. So it's an extremely sad story when you look at it all together. So Derek Shaffer, the brother of Brian Shaffer, has now lost his brother to a disappearance, his mother to cancer, and his father to an accident within the span of 2 years. I don't know. That's got to take quite a toll on one's mental health. But anyways, that's pretty much it for the timeline. We can get into some theories now as into what we think happened. So at this point, we start talking about suspects and theories. And right away, Clint, the friend, is a big one because he doesn't cooperate with law enforcement. So let's talk about Clint first. Clint is going to be our first. So Clint does not cooperate with law enforcement. He does not take a polygraph test that is requested. Now, I'm going to crap on the polygraph because the polygraph does not work. Polygraph is pseudoscience. Polygraph tests do not work. Do not let polygraph tests influence your opinion on any case whatsoever, ever. So I just wanted to say that. But Clint doesn't take the polygraph. He doesn't cooperate. So he is being a suspect-ish. And he's kind of the first person that they look at. So after Clint and his, polygraph or whatever, his little lie detector test that he won't take, you're kind of out of suspects, and it's kind of, I don't know who to call. I don't know why I keep bringing up this phone. It's just so old. I can't believe they used it for so long. Anyways, you start to get into the theories of what happened. Possibly a robbery gone wrong. Maybe, he gets robbed. He tries to fight back. And he eventually gets murdered. That could possibly be a scenario. They also float the idea of a serial killer called the smiley face killer, which I really don't buy into at all whatsoever. That's out there. So what's my theory? Pretty much my theory goes is it's 2006. There aren't as many cameras as there are now. They don't catch as much footage. They miss him leaving the bar somehow, and he is the victim of a crime, and he ends up being murdered. Maybe it's a robbery. He fights back and he ends up getting murdered. I don't know. That's the most likely scenario in my mind, but I don't know for sure. Obviously, of course, let me know what you guys think. This is obviously a very, very interesting case. some people really, really believe that Clint is like the gatekeeper of all of these secrets. But I don't know. Maybe we'll never know. So this is a rabbit hole, definitely, that you go down. So let me know what you guys think is your ultimate, kind of the one that you think is most likely happened. All right. It's been a while. I'm tired, so all right.